Hello.
Hello.
We're Ray and Dee of Herpetology of the Apocalypse. Howdy.
Right.
Yeah.
Today.
Today. Tomorrow, who knows?
Tomorrow, who knows? We are back in our correct positions. That is the important part.
Less disorientating this way we have learned.
We're like, it's irrational, but there we are. All right.
Oh, perhaps I should pick up my notes that I have on the thing.
With this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything to talk about beforehand.
You? No, I want to get into stuff and then talk about it.
Okay, got it.
Sometimes it goes the other way, but all right.
I think I'm starting at 2197. You?
This is 2195 for me.
Okay, have at it.
2195. It feels like that panel is a status check on what makes rose, what ingredients make up rose.
Mm-hmm.
It's a telescope, knitting, violin, grimoire, laptop, and she's like smiling contentedly, no eyebrows lifted, just like all is right with the world, even in the apocalypse. And then 2196, I was like, she's got stuff in her knitting bag. Is her knitting bag technically a Silodex? I don't know. I don't think so, but I just looked at it. I was like, waiting for a plot twist involving knitting bag, because the insides of knitting bags are always larger than they look. Because you're like, how did you shovel that in there? I don't know. Okay.
We've got like bag of holding and a bag of holding, technically, I guess.
Yes.
Because the Silodex, yeah. Shenanigans.
2197. Go for it.
So, we're seeing that the book, the grimoire, did not like being put into the, not Silodex, the weapon version. I can't remember.
Strife Specipus.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Doesn't like being in the Strife Specipus, and I was calling it basically a, it does not like being wet and soggy, even if it, like... Specifically, I said, so we here see that some items need to be carried, in this case, because of the dark forces, which are going to get dark and soggy in the raid. And then we go into the next panel of where it's allowed to be carried in the Silodex, but not the Strife Specipus. It's like, I don't like being soggy, but I don't like being used as a weapon. And I was like, fair enough, buddy. Fair enough.
Okay. I'm not yet ready to ascribe
personality traits to a book. I know. It's fine.
No. I'm perfectly fine ascribing personality traits to a book. Not just the story inside of the book, but the book itself. Some books are violent. But I'm not willing to yet ascribe an active participation in things.
That's fine. I'm just ascribing things here myself. Okay. I'm like...
my breakdown on the same thing was the Wayward Vagabond. I had to write that down because I keep going that one desert dude. Wayward Vagabond tells Rose to use a grimoire in the Strife Specipus. She refuses. She doesn't want to mess with dark forces in that way. So what I took from that was Vagabond is likely not Rose from the future or some other reality.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think so. I just wanted to weed that out. The narrator says, you know, as a reaction to not wanting to use the grimoire in the Strife Specipus, you know that better than most. So I'm like, so Rose knows something more than the other characters. Okay, that's it. I'm just still back on
that theory, yeah.
Back on my Rose BS.
All right. So going back onto my thing, for the less silly route, we see that two dark forces are like a no. I was wondering if two light forces would also have the same reaction of things are going to go badly if you try using that as a weapon, kind of thing.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see that, but it just was like, well, question mark.
Don't use books as weapons. Okay.
You're not allowed to use books as weapons. It gets the pages bloody and soggy in some cases.
And or soggy. Okay. These are normally very crisp pages. Like chips can't just eat only one. Okay, I'm on 2199.
I got 2202.
2202. Oh, dang. All right, so I just wanted to note on 2199 that needles apparently are fine for a striped specibus, and I was like, yeah, again, I know knitters. Got it.
Stabbins.
Yeah, the hat pins of yore that used to hold hats down for Victorian women were like sometimes this long because hypothetically you needed to stab your whole hat to keep it stable,
Mm-hmm.
and the end of the pin helped it keep it stable. But it also was like sexual assault. Um, ninja defense there.
Mm-hmm.
2201. Wayward Vagabond tells Rose to knit a Cthulhu plushie. I said, aha, curious and curious. Which means Wayward Vagabond knows about Cthulhu, but Cthulhu doesn't exist inside of the Homestuck world.
Mm-hmm.
So even before the Asperb shit, there was no Cthulhu. So Wayward Vagabond may know about our universe, but Rose does not. So is Wayward Vagabond from our universe or aware of it somehow? We don't know. And then I'm on 2202. Yep.
And I'm here hiccuping to death. Don't mind me.
Hey, take a drink.
Take a drink for every time you hiccup. It'll go fine. My whipped cream that was previously on it has disappeared at this point.
Yeah, I put an embarrassing amount of whipped cream on top of Ray's mug of hot chai with coffee in it, hoping that she would be like, I can't drink this, and end up with whipped cream on her nose. But alas, here we are. The whipped cream has collapsed.
I could not stand the heat. So sorry.
Go for it. 2202.
Sorry, the prankster's gambit did not fall in your favor this time.
It did not. You got to keep rolling those dice if you're ever going to win, though.
Yeah. Anyways, so 2202. I wanted to note that petition is a high noble. I was like thinking about doctors and stuff, right? So I was like, question mark? But a high noble, and was thinking about the fact that apparently these eldritch beings have a ranking system. Also wanted to note on that specific page that the little floaty things in the page kind of look like off-brand Slimers. I think that was on purpose.
I did that too. I noticed, I'm like, patrician? I don't even remember that word being on there. I should look it up quick, but it's probably my time to talk. I'll look it up later.
Okay.
Okay, Blue Thulu. So I have a complicated BS thing to ramble on about here. Okay, so I said flu Thulu. Is that flu? Is that a flu virus?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So one of the things that can happen, like on a sci-fi writer level, not on a real world level, we have no proof one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
One of the sci-fi things that can happen when you cross a string theory and quantum theory. Quantum theory is kind of like there are things that happen on a very small level, and we don't really get them, but they might connect things that are very large and very small, or infinite in time and infinite in no time.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure. And because there's packets of things. And then on the string theory side, quantum theory is where you get multiverse stuff from.
Oh, okay.
String theory is when you go, incidentally, there are 9.34 dimensions in the universe. Okay. Why there's a fractional dimension? But when you stick them together, you get something called quantum foam.
Okay.
Which is on a constant, ongoing level, at the most microscopic level, particles exist and then disappear in almost no time and almost no space. Okay. But because of the way the dimensions work on the string theory side, it may be that those little bubbles of foam are entire universes lasting billions and trillions of years. From their own perspective. From our perspective, they're just like, and from their perspective, they're like, what is the meaning of life? Okay, so if we take that and we stick like the Cthulhu stuff together, what you have is the outer gods can be in our universe extremely small and still be larger than the entire universe.
Okay.
Okay, so I was like, there's got to be a reason why it's Cthulhu. I don't know if this is the right one, but I'm gonna headcanon it. Here we go.
Okay.
So I'm saying Cthulhu is actually a flu virus that is now in the Homestuck universe, which it may or may not be quantum foam. Like H.P. Lovecraft is always like dimensions unknown to man. Oh, the horrifying terror of math and the universe. And I'm like, actually, this makes much more sense than Lovecraft all by himself. Okay, headcanon.
Little tiny Cthulhu going.
Yeah. And then I was like, I'm going to look at the picture and I'm like, is that what a flu virus looks like? Not particularly, but okay. Sort of. But I'm like looking at Slimer and I'm like, that's got to be Slimer. That's as far as I got. I was like, that is definitely Slimer from our universe. Shown for scale to Cthulhu.
Okay. I always thought that Cthulhu was Cthulhu, just a letter off, but also it reminded me of fluff, F-L-U-F.
Fluff Thulu?
Yeah.
Meh.
Not the fluff I was thinking of, but not wrong from it.
Okay.
Furries will be a thing we will eventually encounter, not majorly, but I was combining the two in my brain for reasons that I'm sure will be not apparent, but understandable, I guess.
Look, guy, I drifted.
Sure did.
Same, fam, same.
Okay. I'm on 2204. Do you have anything before that?
I have 2203. And Nrubyaglugith, the N one.
Mm.
I pondered and I was like, what even could this be? And I went back and forth on a couple of things. But I think the reference to it is Shub-Niggurath, the goat with 1,000 young, the Lord of the Wood.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And at first, my first guess was like, pollen? Is this fucking allergies? Because every time, as you know, Bob, every time tree pollen season comes upon us, I'm like, my joints, I must take the allergy meds or I will die.
I'm very curious to hear more about this theory. I'm going to eventually keep poking you at it, I guess. I'm on 2204. Did you say you have anything before that?
No, just 2204. Do you want me to finish this or do you want to go with it?
Sure, you go with it.
It's a lot.
Oh, God. Okay, then I'm going to say mine so you can go on yours. Okay. So I was wondering why the eldritch creatures had tiny floating pictures of the previous creatures next to them. Like, to show scale for, a size ref, or do they literally orbit each other? I guess kind of like spores or something. Speaking of spores, sorry.
Speaking of Spore the game, I knew we were going to get here.
No, actually, this is about tetanus.
About what?
Tetanus.
Okay.
I just thought that was like rust getting in your body and that was bad in some way, but no, there's literal spores and that's what tetanus is. I was like, what? Tetanus spores?
I thought it was some kind of bacteria, but I had no idea.
Yeah, I just was like, tetanus is a lot more confusing than I thought it was. Because I just thought it was literally something about the rust and the way it oxidizes does bad things.
Is it kind of like pneumonia where you just always have pneumonia and mostly your body fights it off until you get so sick you can't?
I'm not sure. I just
the entire universe is covered with tetanus. And it's all fine and good until you cut yourself on a rusty nail because the rust will disgorge itself into your body and help disperse the tetanus spores or something. I don't know. I haven't looked this up yet.
I'm not actually sure. I went looked at it and went, this is too mind-boggling for me to look further into right now, and left it be.
Things that humankind was not meant to know. Tetanus.
It just was a world changer that I needed to leave be for a bit, and then suddenly came back for this and was like, oh shit, right.
Okay.
Anyway, so size ref orbiting around each other, or are the gods like minuscule compared to each other? And I guess actually coming back to Spore the game, you're right.
Okay, good.
In the spore cell stage, there's like every time you have like it has multiple layers to itself. You start as little tiny version of yourself, you grow bigger, you get to the next stage, still in the cell stage. But before you do so, you can see the larger versions of other creatures that will eventually potentially kill you, like usually underneath you, surprisingly, or something. So you can just swim over them.
Yeah, every time that shows up, I'm like, I must leave now. This is horrifying to me watching sport, like giant things cruise underneath you in sport.
Yeah. I kind of want to throw you at Subnautica now as
No,
well, but
not right now. No,
no.
no.
There's other things I'm throwing at you anyways. Point being, it vaguely reminded me of that as well, especially since you mentioned Spore again, and I was like, wait, right. But it also kind of reminds me of how, like, sometimes like little birds will flock around a giant creature and stuff and be like, yes, I will claim you in return, you will feed me, or something like that. So just was wondering what the exact um connection between the two of having the little tiny versions go around the big versions and stuff. Um, and I think it was the book itself is a zoology, and I was like, maybe they really are more animal like than I previously thought, kind of thing. Yeah. And I guess they're just spores and other such too. So
Like,
here
yep,
we are.
zoology. I forgot that the book was called a zoology or whatever it is. But yeah. 2204, Oglogoth. So I went down multiple rabbit holes with this. I apologize.
Have at it.
Okay, so Og is a giant king mentioned in the Bible.
Okay.
But not like in the main part of the Bible mostly. Mostly in the Apocrypha. Now, at some point,
what's the Apocrypha?
I'm going to
okay,
give you at some point, as in like actually 2 points, one in 347 and one in 1500 and something. No, I wrote the notes down somewhere. I'll give you the dates later. But anyway, twice in like Catholic history or Christian history, Catholic history, people went through all of the stuff that had been written that was accepted as the Bible and said, no, and took big chunks of it out. Like the Gnostics got weeded out. Like we've talked about them before. They're nuts. I can understand where you're like, we need to package this so that we can like convince people that we're not completely fucking insane. Okay. But anyway, one of the things that got scraped out of the Bible, there we go. 393 AD, the Council of Hippo, and the 1546 Council of Trent. Anyway, at one point they were like, okay, so one of the myths that's getting written down is that there used to be a bunch of giants. And we're kind of trying to differentiate ourselves from all the other religions that are having a lot of giants, like the Greek Gigantomachia and all that other stuff.
Norse mythology,
whatever. But the idea that the gods once had to fight the giants for possession or retention of their divinity. We're taking that up. What happened was in the Bible, how that got filtered down was, and this came through Judaic texts, like mostly stuff that was established by Jewish people. There was a war in heaven. God tossed out some of the angels. The angels fell to earth. Some of them were retroactively decided to go to hell, but before the story changed to include hell, it included something called the Nephilim, because these fallen angels landed on earth and had sex with human mortals and gave birth to half-divine babies, giants, called Nephilim.
Also in Supernatural, by the way.
Okay. All roads lead to Supernatural the same way all roads lead to Homestuck. Anyway, so Og, or Ogius, was a giant who may have been its own father. He was different than the rest of the giants in that he kind of had a sense of all time and all space.
Okay.
So, like, in a sense, we've talked about this before versus me writing different things. So, in a sense, if something fell out of heaven to earth, it fell out of God. The concept of God no longer contains this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that fell was Og, which was the entire plan for the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the past, all the present, all of the future.
Okay.
So, like if you think about that, it kind of means that there's no longer a plan in heaven because it's gone. That was the moment that everything went off the fucking rails. Like God's like, blasphemers, you're no longer part of the plan, and the plan is no longer part of the plan. Bye bye. Anyway,
that sounds like a YouTube poop.
Anyway, the whole reason that there is a flood in the Bible story,
okay,
is because of these giants. The angels and the humans were having so much sex that the human race was getting wiped out and replaced by these giants.
Oh, okay.
So, in the Bible, what you get now is the flood happened because everybody on earth was a sinner except for Noah and his kids, blah blah blah. Grr, sinners.
Mm-hmm.
And the sin, what was the sin? Fucking angels. That was the sin. Only that part got taken out, so they're like, we're just going to hand wave you a minute. Anyway, there's actually a book of giants that got cut.
Uh-huh.
And there's a part where God traps Og, or Ogius, inside of a mountain. Og picks up the mountain. God sends a bunch of ants to hollow out the mountain. The inside of the mountain falls apart, and the outer rock traps Og inside of the mountain. So we have another giant that gets stuck inside a feature of landscape.
That is so common in these kind of stories.
The Hebrew giants were actually trapped in the earth. They didn't get trapped inside of mountains like that. The Greek giants got trapped in the earth after the Gigantomachia. Norse giants became the earth. And Cthulhu lies in R'lyeh under the ocean, still dreaming. So even Cthulhu is a chthonic or earth god, a giant. Okay. So actually, I was like, so that sounds kind of familiar. So the Book of Giants, Gigantomachia, and the Norse gods, Giant War, are they tied together? A lot of scholars actually think so. Answer, yes. It's not just me pulling it out of my butt. It's everybody pulling it out of their collective butts, I guess. I don't know. Okay. So we go back to the name Og-Logoth. So Og, like yes. And Logoth is kind of comes from the word logos.
Okay.
Often the word logos is used when you want to indicate that the word itself is magic.
Okay.
So some Christians believe, this is the kind of the strain where I'm from, that everything that exists is a word of God. It's not real. It's a kind of like a computer program, a simulation that happens to be called a word of God. It's unimaginable and uninterpretable by human minds. But a lot of like Jewish theology, a lot of Jewish Kabbalah stuff that I know about, not saying I'm accurate here, is related to, I'm going to find out part of the name of God, and I'm going to use that to affect the actual word of God in reality, and that's how magic works.
Oh.
Is you hack one tiny part of the system that your brain can actually wrap itself around and go, I hope this doesn't destroy reality. Okay. The Og-Logoth probably refers to Yog-Sothoth, who is a being that also had sex with a human female in one of the Cthulhu stories done with horror.
Okay. Side note, also in Sam and Max.
Uh-oh. I don't know this one. Come on.
Okay.
Hit me.
In the 3D ones, I can't remember which one. I think the Devil's Playhouse may have been earlier than that.
Okay.
This is the ones that were made by Telltale.
Oh, okay. So later.
Yeah,
All right.
not the point and click one, the
Okay.
Telltale one. Um, and he ends up as kind of emerging from the stomach of a historian. Um, neither of them are very happy about the situation and are trying to stop Yogg-Sothoth's, I think, nephew's toy from taking over the world because that toy is upset that he is no longer being played with by the nephew. It is a hand puppet that takes over people's bodies but can also project their voices onto other objects. So, like, if I wanted to, I could speak through the snake, woo, or something like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I went, that's a very small scale. What if you could do that to an entire universe?
Probably.
Hand puppet of the universe. Anyway.
I'm going to put that in the eventual throwing that at you list. Okay. And max.
Okay. So my overall theory is that Oglogoth is a single-celled organism of some kind, like a protozoa.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oglogoth is a single-celled organism.
Okay.
Of some kind. Like a protozoa.
Okay, that's exactly what I thought you said.
Okay, you know what a protozoa is? Yeah. A little dude with a bullet tail. Because it has DNA. Okay. It is a single cell alive, and it quote unquote knows the past, present, and future because it's got all of the code, all of the plan inside of it. Okay.
Sperm.
Yes, I actually wrote that down too, and I was like, maybe we don't go there, but here we are. Anyway, scale. Fluthulu is shown next to a critter that looks like Slimer, as noted. Neurobliglith is shown next to Fluthulu as being much bigger than Fluthulu, as much bigger as Fluthulu is to Slimer. And then Oglogoth is shown next to Neurobliglith, and same thing, much bigger. Average virus measures between 20 and 30 nanometers in diameter. And then I measured it. I was like, what do pollen grains look like? And I was like, actually, pollen grains are the same size as the single-celled organism, so we'll leave those out. Bacteria, however, typically range from 0.2 to 2.0 micrometers in diameter, or 1,000 nanometers. So we go from 200 what did I say? 300 nanometers to approximately, where are we at? 2,000 nanometers, and then single-celled organisms are like 300 microns. So each one is like as big again as the previous. So like we make huge jumps in scale. It just happens to be on such a small scale that like we don't think about it. But if you were an entire universe that appeared and disappeared in a fraction of no time, then perhaps those would be appropriately sized. Okay, and I'm on, that was it for that. I've got, I forgot to write, side thing that I skimmed over earlier. Some Christians believe that everything exists where the God, right? And they also think that the reason that Mary, Jesus's mom, got pregnant with Jesus is like visited by God, right? But it wasn't. Mary was visited by an angel who announced that she was going to get pregnant, or it was getting pregnant, in a state of getting pregnant at that moment, because the angel brought the word of God. So like there was a code snippet injected into the simulation at that point. It wasn't like any kind of fluid exchange or anything. They're just like, hey, we modified your womb.
So you remember a game that we played called The Magic Circle?
Yep.
Okay.
Where are we going with this?
It's a game where you could like have little creatures and change their very state with simple codes and stuff.
Yep.
So
Okay.
be like, here is a turtle, and now I input the code to make it flying turtle, and you could just stand on that turtle as it flies away.
Yeah.
And that's basically what God did to Mary, I guess.
Yeah. It's Matrix level shit. Like, if you wonder why I have some kind of messed up thoughts sometimes, it's because that's how I was raised. Anyway.
On off switch for pregnancy.
Edit.
Whoops, I missed a parenthesis. Now the whole code's messed up. Damn it.
Okay. So I'm on 2205 now.
Same. So we finally get the windows from Problem Sleuth, but in diagram form.
Yeah.
Like there's many different versions of them, kind of looking like stained glass windows, regular windows, etc. and stuff. And I went, finally! Also, I would like to note here, if we have not yet talked about hostile dimensions, this would be a perfect time to do so.
We talked about hostile dimensions last time, though.
We did, but did we talk in specifics about how the actual doors and such worked?
Do we need to? I mean, go ahead, but I'm like, where are you going with this?
I think I mentioned last time that they were similar to the Monsters Inc. doors, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They've both got the similar outside paintings of them and et cetera, et cetera. And I was looking at that or thinking about that and then thinking about how in this diagrams there's different versions of the windows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that'll come out in this story, but I was like, I wonder how important having different versions of the windows themselves would be at all changing this kind of thing. Would it make it be like, hey, here's universe hopping because now there's a glass or a window, a stained window, versus hey, this is just a sliding window, so this is just for teleportation or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to say that's probably going to be a doubt it, but I'm going to put that in my own little separate headcanon of, ooh, that would be cool kind of thing. I feel like it's kind of now mingling with the whole microbial universe thing, but I'm not sure yet how.
This is where I went. I think I'm probably right.
Oh, okay. Have at it.
Okay. So, screening and staining, as in window screens and stained glass windows, are ways to identify microparticles. I was like, this is a horrifically bad joke. Okay, that's probably intentional.
I'm so glad I'm reading Homestuck with you. There's so many things I could not have
And
believed.
then there's this strange page showing the stained glass and the windows and the window screens.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strange page containing some rather mysterious notes on summoning procedures. there's this magical principle, like the neo-pagan type magic, not like card trick magic. There's this neo-pagan magic principle of as below, or as above, so below, which means things that you do on the small scale are the same as things that happen on the big scale. So if you wanted to summon a virus, a universe-spanning virus, you would do it the same way that you would catch a regular virus.
Neat. Did not know that was what it was meaning. I've mostly just heard of it being used in Welcome Home, the ARG that I cannot ever tell you about and stuff because it's
too weird and inconsistent
and not consistently like, hey, here's the different versions of it held up. That's not done via like YouTube or something because the best way to deal with it is by physically interacting with it. And None of that's been archived yet. Um, anyways, uh, it's an important-ish phrase in the whole thing because it's vaguely-ish Christian. There's an as below, so below kind of thing, and it was more so a heaven versus hell kind of situation. And
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
yeah. And I just thought it was that kind of thing, or they're secretly in hell kind of thing. I was like, yes, this would be perfect for you, except I can't give it to you, can't I? Kind of thing. Um, just did not realize that was what the meaning was there.
Yeah, no, it points back to the whole everything is a simulation theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason that the reason that sympathetic magic supposedly works is because if you affect something on one scale, the universe is kind of self-referring. Like that's how it works. So like if you imagine a fractal, like a pattern, like one of those fractal patterns, like the Mandelbrot set,
Mm-hmm.
and you affect one tiny little piece of the set, the general idea in the magic thing is you affect all the pieces of the set. And there's an infinite number of pieces on an infinite number of scales. So that's kind of what the magic is like. Sympathetic magic is you try and find a small change that will affect the larger pattern overall as it propagates.
Mm-hmm.
Do most people think like that? Probably not, but that's the theory.
Okay.
Whack. Like, yeah, whack. But kind of like the whole giant things crops up in a lot of like religions and magical traditions and stuff like that.
Mm.
So, and I'm done with 2205.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what you got next? Let's keep going.
I got 2207.
Same.
Okay. I said that Rose got hit by the misquoting curse. I think this time she is purposely doing it because she is misquoting a poet or writer's words with instead Charles Berkeley, a basketball announcer. And I was like, that just seems like some kind of joke. I think Rose is doing that one on purpose, man. Um, the quote is by T.S. Eliot, and the poem is The Wasteland, and it was published October 16th, 1922 in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yep, yeah. I think I'm going to leave the rest to you because probably you'll have cooler things to say on that.
Okay, so you and I, off and on, have been talking about what the larger frameworks of stories are. Mm-hmm. And I started yesterday, talking about what I think Homestuck is like, and then I was like, I should probably save that for the thing. Mm-hmm. Here we are.
Yay!
Okay, so
was not expecting this early.
There's a type of story. It happens a lot, and it's let's take stock of where civilization is now, culture is now. What are things like now? And you start grabbing in all the references you know. You shove them one thing, and you take that thing and you shove, and you get different results depending on who you are, your attitude towards culture. Sometimes people like that culture, some people hate their culture, but mostly people are like, there's stuff I would like to tweak. And, at a bare minimum, let's not just observe the culture, let's criticize it. And The Wastelands by T.S. Eliot is one of those things, just like Homestuck is.
Okay.
So October 1922, London. It's a snapshot of how he feels about London, which is pretty shitty. And he makes all kinds of cross references in it. He takes everything he can think of, like his education in learning the classics. He takes Dante's Inferno and dumps it in there. He takes one of the popular songs that was, I don't know if it was on the radio, but like all the bars were playing it. Like they'd have piano players and we're just all playing this freaking song called the Shakespearean Rag. Okay. He puts that in there. He's got like Shakespeare references in there. Just tons of stuff I couldn't even tell you about because I don't even know. But he sticks it all in there, shakes it around, and writes down 5 sections of this poem that almost make no sense together. So the sections. Oh, incidentally, this is the guy that wrote the poems that got turned into Cats the musical that you thought was a movie. So same guy, just keep that in mind.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense on things now. Thank you.
I can't say for sure, but I think a lot of the people who end up doing this and getting the ending to a place where you're like, yes, I agree with the ending, are just smartasses. Anyway, the sections of the poem, The Burial of the Dead, depicting London residents trapped in a meaningless routine. The second poem, A Game of Chess, it's about relationships with women, mostly women, from rape to loving relationships mostly, but eventually being forced to leave those relationships. There's lots of classical references in there for the rape stuff. The Fire Sermon, giving up on conflicts and embracing nothingness, kind of like in a Buddhist sense.
Mm-hmm.
Death by Water, which shows kind of like, if you don't do it right, this is what's going to happen to you. It's about a sailor who drowned. He got sucked into a whirlpool, and he's just kind of going around and around and around and around and around. And that's it. Even after death, he is trapped in this cycle of this whirlpool shit. And then the end is what the thunder said. It's set in a desert. It starts raining, and the ending question kind of is, shall I at least set my lands in order? I was like, motherfucker, stole from fucking Wastelands to build part of the template for Homestuck.
Okay.
We start in a city full of meaningless activity, and we end in a fucking desert. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in this thing, but I'm like, there's our template. So another one of these things another one of these big overarching things that I particularly fucking love is Stephen King's The Dark Tower series.
Okay.
Stephen King calls the third book of it The Wasteland. So you know that King is pointed directly at the T.S. Eliot poem. And for me, the Dark Tower books were kind of like my niche's Homestuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you read it and then you're like, what is that a reference to? What does that even mean? So you start looking stuff up. The other one that I went, and I'm going to say this out loud and I'm just be like, the other one that I went to was Neil Gaiman's, the big comic book thing.
Sandman?
Sandman. There we go. With tons of references, even though he turned out to be scum of the earth.
And stealing it.
We're just going to stop at scum of the earth. And a thief.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the other ones that I went through. Yeah. And I still haven't gotten back into the Paradise books, Tanith Lee books, but
oh yeah,
I should, because probably Tanith Lee would be like, hey, here are the actual references.
You're also mentioning the Odyssey last time we were talking about this too.
Yep, Odyssey too.
Specifically in reference to Homestuck and being like, these things. The Odyssey having lots of references and stuff, and you were saying that,
yeah. It's got lots of weird references. I'll tell you the Aphrodite one.
Yeah.
Like in the Odyssey, one of the things they do is they name the gods by names, like Aphrodite, and then they'll give like the one with a nice butt, Aphrodite Callipagos. And you're like, where the fuck did Callipagos come from?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these tales about the gods with these epithets don't have explanations in the Odyssey, and we don't know where they came from. Some we do, some we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it is it's a pointer to another story. And we may or may not have that story, but we know that there's a lot of cross references in the Odyssey because they're like, I need this all to rhyme in Greek, or like whatever it is, not rhyming necessarily. We need this to sound good as poetry in Greek. So what we will do is come up with some set ways to describe certain things, and then it'll be kind of like a rap song where you're like, this chunk goes here, this chunk goes here. So they memorized stuff about Aphrodite so that it would scan correctly.
This goes back to the memory palace things.
Yeah.
Specifically, the whole hey, let's have this specific item in the paint a Renaissance painting, so you can remember this specific event and stuff. Except this is the verbal version of it, I guess.
Yep. Sometimes.
Okay.
But anyway, we have those little stubs of stories, so that just so the rhyme scheme works, as it were.
Neat.
So T.S. Eliot, back to T.S. Eliot. The last section of that T.S. Eliot poem, The Wastelands, the one about the desert, there's a section here I wanted to read. Who is the third who walks always beside you? When I count, there are only you and I together. But when I look ahead up the white road, there's always another one walking beside you, gliding wrapped in a brown mantle, hooded. I do not know whether a man or a woman, but who is that on the other side of you? So I think that's why the person in the desert is wrapped like that, up like that.
Side note, that reminds me of the whole Christian saying thing of Jesus walking with you or something. Yeah.
Could be. Don't know. T.S. Eliot kind of started out not terribly religious, and he ended very religious. So it's hard to say what he's doing. He ended up Catholic.
Okay.
So you're like, he's been infected by complete the world is a simulation stuff because of the stuff that he wrote later. Another section from the same poem, from the end of the Wastelands. A woman drew her long back black hair out tight and fiddled whisper music on those strings, and bats with baby faces in the violet light whistled and beat their wings, and crawled head downward down a blackened wall and upside down in air with towers, tolling reminiscent bells that kept the hours, and voices singing out of empty cisterns and exhausted wells. So we have a person in the desert with wrapped up, so you can't tell who they are, and you have empty cisterns and wells. So I was just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
I ended up going down a dead end for about Charles Barkley, the basketball player. He was actually a basketball player.
Oh, okay.
So not just a commentator, a basketball player. But there's also a guy named Charles William Barkley, 1759 to 1832, who's a ship captain. He worked for the East India Company and then ditched them to start his own company, and they tried to take him down. And he was an explorer. But it's probably the basketball player, though, because apparently Charles Barkley shows up later. I looked at it and went, spoiler alert.
All right.
Okay, so I'm on 2210.
I am too.
Okay.
Da-da. Oh, wanted to note that Dave takes the sword off of the wall, like physically takes the sword off of the wall to slice the name, and then he returns it back to the next panel. So it wasn't taken out of a Silodex, it was taken from the physical place.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I didn't even. I was just like, he didn't like the name they were calling him, so he sliced through the word balloon. He has a knife that slices through a separate layer of reality. Like, dang, dude. All right, go for it.
2211.
Yeah.
This is the talking about his room, I believe. Yes, talking about his room. And I wanted to note that John and Rose are average roomers, and Dave is an above average roomer because damn, is this a lot of things in here more than the other people.
He's got a lot of shit in there. I was like, oh, this looks tiresome. Do I really want to try to do this? Should I just let Ray do
it? So I noted that he's got a Midnight Crew poster, the felt poster, not to be talked about yet, several clotheslined pictures of him probably, with one of them assumedly having cat ears like a furry or something. That will need to be shown later, I guess. There's a picture of a blonde guy who I was like, is that Owen Wilson with a bandana on? Not thinking about Starsky and Hutch, but later realized, oh yeah, of course it's Starsky and Hutch. A shelf of dead things that are both resined and jarred. We went to a museum like that back in Florida, which I forgot to look the name up of.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Just we had fun wandering about. That was mostly the important thing there. Um, we have a poster of two robots, also not to be talked about right now. Snoop Dogg from Starsky and Hutch, the katanas, a scroll that I'm not going to try and figure out where that's from. Ben Stiller from Starsky and Hutch. I even found the exact picture.
Yep, that's the one.
uh, a closet with a blue box, once again, blue. This time it's from John, so we're like, yep, of course, blue. Um, apple juice, which I said, apply juice directly to forehead because I was tired at the time. Um, it's which is a reference to a really stupid ad, which I will show you later.
Okay.
Um,
Like, yep, that sounds pretty tired.
an iPhone, his copy of Spurb that was previously noted to be unavailable, but in our current whereabouts is available here on his desk. uh, Turntables with disc sleeves below them on a probably real table. Another fake table being three cinder blocks holding a soundboard. Flat box lids. I'm just gonna keep going through all of these things here unless you want to take over. Um, Another fake table holding a roll of duct tape, two machines of some kind, one looking more musical based than the other. The other, I was like, that probably has to do with his photography side, but I don't actually know what it is. A clock, an alarm lights, like the ones that go beep, 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 and you're like, ah! Um, Two mattresses stacked on top of each other with a heart, diamonds, etc. blanket on top of it. No sheets that I could see. Um, a shutter camera, more assumedly music equipment, a PC that lets you look inside of it, but I also was like, are there fish in there? Because it looked like there were clownfish at the very bottom of it. And I was like, huh, I have no idea. Because I think I've seen like pictures of PCs being used as aquariums, and I was like, that would technically be something they would do, I would think. Um, and on his desk is um, another not real desk with two Game Bros, a usual computer set things like monitor, mouse, etc. Um, a large stereo speaker, wires everywhere, a fan, an almost folding chair, and Dave himself. And I was like, that's all I'm gonna say about this room directly.
It does sort of look like clownfish.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Like I think that used to be kind of a screensaver or no,
Oh
not
yeah,
screensaver. Yeah, 2000s ish specific look, having fake aquariums on things. So
1997.
yes.
Okay.
And my next thing is 2213. Unless you want to talk more about that.
Nope. I want to do his room.
How about it?
Okay, I was confused about the second version of Midnight Crew with the green version with the British policeman's caps. So I said, don't even look that up. The photos that are on the line, you mostly only do this if you're in a dark room, and it's to let the paper dry out. And he has some open trays under the bookshelves that might be used to hold developer and fixer and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So I think the pictures are not pictures of him. There's a circle head with an X over one eye, a girl with a ponytail, two people together, perhaps Dave with a turntable in that one, and then there's one that's rays of light or like a streaking meteor or something. He says he has photography interests, so we do have the camera elsewhere, right? That light that's on the table, it's a red light. So over his window, he's got a pull down shade, presumably to block light. So what you do is you block all the light in the room. You lay out your film, project it onto a piece of photography paper, and then you develop it until it's showing up kind of like a Polaroid picture the way you want it, and then you dunk it in a fixer, which says "Stop now," and then you hang it up on those clips. Okay.
was noted that he usually does that kind of thing in the closet, I think.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not sure how you're managing to do it in there if it's spilled in there.
But anyway, there's this thing right here.
Yeah, that the machine that I was like, I think this is a photography
Yes.
based machine. Yeah.
That's where you'd shine the light on the paper to get it to start develop. You shine it on there and then you stick it in the developer.
Okay. Would you mind like banding that and showing it to them?
Oh, okay. So
maybe if you'll be able to see it.
Okay, so there's a black vertical line there that ends in a box on the desk. There's a projector attached to the black line. You lay the paper on the box on the table, shine the light on it, and then start dunking things in chemicals to make it go and stop with the developing a print. So I just was like, I don't think, like, I've done analog photography development in high school. Don't remember it real well, but enough to go like, yeah, I recognize elements. What else is in there? Snoop Dogg, the Starsky and Hutch stuff. There's a sigil on the wall. That's one of the posters that I'm like, I should not look that up. There's not just a katana. There's a katana and a wakizashi. And I found out like 2 years ago, so I have to repeat it because I'm like, it's still fresh in my mind as a fact. The reason you have two swords is because they're indoor-outdoor swords. The big sword is for outside, where you're like, I can chop. The little sword is for inside, where you're like, most of these walls are made of paper.
I don't want to break the walls, man.
It's not that I don't want to break the walls. It's that I just want to chop the people and not the wall. Anyway, I just thought that just cracks me up. I think the reason that a lot of the furniture is boards on top of cinder blocks, I have no supporting evidence for this, but I'm like, so here's a guy who knows how to use a sword well enough to chop through a balloon. He uses the wrong sword, incidentally, because he's inside. But he chops through his balloon. Obviously a very strong swordsman. Perhaps he knows other aspects to martial arts and has been known to like karate chop through his goddamn furniture so often that he's now stuck with karate choppable objects. Boards on top of cinder blocks.
That amuses me a whole bunch. I mostly was mentioning the whole not desks because of problems with me being like, stop putting these fake desks everywhere. This is not your desk.
I don't know. Could be both.
Headcanon accepted.
Okay. Something to note here in all of the recording equipment, which I could not identify most of it other than the mixer and the soundboard. There's no piano keyboard. I just was like, there's no analog instruments, fair. There's no piano keyboard, weird. Let's see. Other stuff that you've talked about.
I wanted also to know. Well, no, never mind. I'll mention that later. Sorry. Never mind. Go, keep going.
There's something else I wanted to say. Now I'm. You're.
Sorry.
Oh well. I don't know. Move on.
2213.
Okay. Same.
Dave just went specifically to a command given to him. And I was like, here you are showing directly that you are being influenced by things and you know it, and you're saying no.
Yep.
And it's like, 2 instances of him messing with stuff that he probably shouldn't be able to.
I didn't see any. Okay, my question here was, it says remove the cinder arms from the cinder blocks. I'm like, where are the arms? What did I miss?
Oh, it's just reference to the chest, to the
okay,
repeated joke.
Okay, because I'm like literally looking. I'm like, is it in that one? Is it that one? Is it a cinder block that you can't see from here, or a different side of the cinder block? Where are the arms at?
Nope, just the repeated joke. So
Fine.
sorry.
Okay, go for it.
My next thing is 2214.
Go for it.
Okay. The copies of Spurb that Dave has appear to A, be upside down, and B, written in red, like his name on both of copies, while they are upside down and stuff. Um, and I was wondering, is like Dave's stuff stolen so often that he has to write his name on everything? Because I don't think it would have mattered much if his items got swapped with his bros, which is why he like supposedly wrote his name on them in the first place. Because assumedly they're the same copy of the game and wouldn't have changed data on them or anything. But it was also like knowing Dave's bro. This is a little bit of spoilers. He probably would have like deleted the stuff on his copy of the thing and just put other things onto the disc himself, like burn something else onto it. And I was like, well, that would make sense why you would want to be like, this one is mine, kind of thing, in that case. But I was also thinking about like, is this an irony situation where he's pretending he like actually cares about the game and pretending to be possessive of them while not actually giving a shit about them? Because irony is a huge thing for Dave and stuff. Or is that me not things I should not say it?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
I don't know. He seems pretty ironic already, just for conversations that we've had over Pester Jump.
It felt a little bit like a one-upmanship, but also like showing that he's not too caring about this whole thing because it's upside down with his name on it, that is written on it, like purposefully upside down for both of them. And it's like, you're doing specific shenanigans here, and I have minor spoilers that I've written down that I'm keeping in the notes. Cause,
okay,
yeah.
Thanks. It could also be, I don't know, but when you modify something of which there are many, then it's there so that as it gets passed around back and forth, shows up in different scenes, you can still track the one thing. So I'm like, I wonder, I saw that and I went, I wonder if there are going to be shenanigans with who has what game copy at some point, because it seems like that would be fun. Okay.
I will not say anything to pro or con that.
Okay, but
that's meta stuff and not my in reason.
I'm trying to think of a good reason to, or like, you know how like in a spy movie they're two people with briefcases and they show them switched, and like that's the opposite of that, where you want the reader to go, I think I know which one is the right one, but it isn't. Yeah. But this is the opposite of that. Sometimes you do it. I just am not thinking of a good example right now.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, keep going.
My next thing is 2215. You?
Nope.
All right. So Dave was larking on the meteors in the movie and something, or meteors in movies and something, and specifically said that sort of thing only happens in stupid idiot movies for stupid idiots. And then I said, harsh. Leave John out of this and his love of Armageddon alone. So I was like, well, that seems to be what you're implying there, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah. My next thing, 2218.
2216, just like to mention, he says he's going to bleed like, or he's considering bleeding like a goat at a later date. I will be watching.
For the ironies. For the ironies.
Okay. 2218.
Okay. Me first or you first?
Up to you.
You first.
The blue box shows a splotch of black on it. So I'm like, have the what's it who's it's been here already. The ones with the glowing eyes who leave black gook all over everything. I just wanted to note, John sent the genuine Starsky sunglasses for Dave for his birthday. And I also noticed something interesting, like, I don't know if it was on this page or if I just went click, penny dropped. But everybody but John gets named with their government name after they have pester drum handles. So first they are tentacle therapist and then they are Rose.
Except for John,
who may already have had his pester jump handle but was named before we found out the pester jump handle. Anyway, To me, that says pester chum handles are more fundamentally descriptive of the characters than their names. All right, just wanted to note that.
So, my 2218,
E?
I, of course, mentioned the Black Goose Strikes Again!
Ah!
This time in a box from John. I was hoping that it didn't secretly stain the certificates that were in there that mentioned that, yes, this is specifically from Ben Stiller. The box included, assumedly, a signed picture of Ben Stiller, and here's where I was noting, hey, I'm pretty sure that box would have only included a picture of Ben Stiller and not the other two pictures of Owen Wilson and Snoop Dogg. And I was like, he totally got those other pictures just to be A, a completionist, and B, for the ironies. And I was like, there's no other reason why I would get those. And I don't think he actually gives two hoots about Ben Stiller and his Starsky and Hutch enterprises. Just wanted to make a complete match set for this. Went he over that. And then I noticed on the Ben Stiller picture is, yes, his signature on there when we zoom in on there. And I was like, does that actually look like a Ben Stiller signature? And it does. It looks like his Zoolander signature, not his Starsky and Hutch one. This is a Zoolander one. Zoolander. The Ben Stiller one here is, it's in white, so I'm not going to show it on there.
Yeah.
But you're like, yes, there's shenanigans, but it does look like clearly Ben Stiller. But the Starsky and Hutch one looks like this. That's not a name anymore. It's just squiggles. And I was like, wow, that is such a giant difference. What on earth? Kind of thing.
So, okay, you remember I would, back before COVID, I would go to a fair number of writer signing things, like group signings, whatever, and I would sign books. And I had to develop a signature that was not like my sign the check signature. Over the course of COVID and until this year, I didn't sign any books, but I signed some books after I did the Kickstarter, and I had to come up with a different fake signature. So, like, that would totally apply to me too.
So if we get the timeline of the things that you have signed, we can go,
this is where she was replaced by aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same way we can with Ben
Stiller.
So anyways, that's my big thing on that page. My next thing is on 2219, of where I said, oh God, Dave Silodex, I'm leaving this to you.
Dave Silodex. The hash function. Okay, so it's kind of based on numerology. So it's a magic system. It's not actually just a hash system. When you start saying a word can be assigned, the letters of a word can be assigned numbers, you are pointing back towards that whole simulation thing, where, like, in Hebrew, apparently it works out better. Like, if you're looking at the original stuff that Jewish people, the Torah, and you start, like, playing with numerology, there are puns to be found in the number codes, like, as you translate them in and out of things, like stupid ass jokes. I'd have to look this up because I don't remember how it works. But when you start dealing with assigning letters with number codes, you're either working with encryption or you're working with numerology, or in this case, probably both, because of all of the God level shit that's going on. We're pretty sure that God shit and computer shit are equal in this thing. So I worked out the hash, and I was like, oh God, this is taking me forever. I don't understand how this works. But I eventually worked it out. So constants are assigned a number 2, vowels are assigned a number 1. The total is divided by the number of cards, but the Silodex cards, so not divided by the number of letters, which was my first mistake. So they're divided by the number of cards, and then the remainder is the index. And a remainder is what's left over after you get, like, if you divide 10 by 3, you get 3.1. There's 1 left over. The remainder is 1, or 3.333.
Yeah.
Blah. Anyway, and for some reason I was like, the remainder, we got 2 plus 1 plus 2 equals 5, and there are 10 total cards in the Sylladex. So 5 divided by 10 is 2. And I was like, wait a minute, no. 5 divided by 10 is not a whole number. It's half. Shit. So the remainder is 5. It all works out. It's the Sylladex is not incorrect. I was like, I'm trying to figure out where Dave's nuttiness lies. Where do his errors lie? Mm-hmm. And it's not in his math. No. So his math's okay. But I'm not sure where. I didn't actually track down what it was. But now that you've been talking about irony, if he's good at math, but he's bad at irony, because he's bad at irony, he no longer knows what he genuinely likes or dislikes. Mm-hmm. He's bad at irony, which is ironic. Mm-hmm. Then he's probably like the recursive character, where like, do you know what level you're operating on? But nope, not a bit of it. So descriptions of things are okay, but once you get into the realm of meta descriptions, he probably has no concept of what's going on. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm like, his errors are probably like, I can think in math terms, but I can't think in like people terms here. Mistaking a map for a territory. Like, he's like, this is what we're going to do. Here's the plan. I've said the plan, therefore the plan's going to work. It doesn't work because he's described plan, not reality. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just like, in the stupid math stuff that I've been looking at lately, there's a lot of discussion about how do you know that math actually works? And the answer is you don't. We just agree to it.
Oh God, this is leading back to the pure absolute truths things you're
talking about. We were talking about. Yeah, I ended up going a rabbit hole about axioms and getting in arguments about stuff, and people keep talking about axioms like they're true, and they're not. They're just assumptions. Mm-hmm. Like, what is a number? Anyway,
she's talking about this whole thing involving like eggs. Hey, is 1 egg plus a splattered egg the same thing as 2 eggs, or is it something completely else, kind of thing?
Yeah. I am not following this.
It makes sense, but also
my eyes.
This is the tetanus spore thing all over again.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Someday I'll understand this well enough to explain it. Oh, I'm on 220 or 2,220. Can I say something?
Yeah. How about it?
Okay. We don't know if it's apple juice or pee in that bottle. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh, okay, so we're back in time. Mm-hmm. And it took me a minute. It took me a hot minute to actually know that we could go back in time like that in the story. And I'm like, uh-oh. That means that's a thing. We could be reading some scene from the goddamn story and not know where it is in time. Wait, we've already done that with the Wayfarer vagabond Wayfarer. So,
Wayward vagabond.
Whatever that dude's name is, I will never get it correct. Never.
Oh, the name will change eventually, by the way.
I'm a poor wayfaring stranger.
Also not the word. So I also said something about 220, or the specific apple juice page. And I was looking up exactly when apple juice goes bad. Store-bought apple juice, which apparently is different than homemade apple juice. Homemade apple juice apparently lasts way longer than I thought. But store-bought apple juice can last a couple of days unrefrigerated in a pantry. I do not know how long that apple juice, whether or not it's pee or not, does not matter. It has been in that specific pantry for who knows how long. It is either booze or apple cider at this point.
Okay.
Or some mix of the two.
It's also in a jar, mm-hmm. sealed. Mm-hmm. Which means it's in there, it's stable. It's not going to go bad in 2 days. Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna say something's gonna go wrong with that apple juice.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, like, we can walk down the aisle in a grocery store and go to the unrefrigerated section with the juice in it and be like, there are lots of plastic containers of stuff here, and they're not booze.
That is true. However, I'm going to say we literally do not know how long that specific one has been in there. It could have been years at this point.
Yeah.
I am saying that apple juice should not be consumed. I don't care if it's pee or not at this point. Do not drink it. Leave it be, Dave. Leave it be.
All right. Moving on.
Yes. My next thing is 23. Yep.
Same.
This is looking at Dave's computer and with his background and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to note his background looks like a comic page. I couldn't figure out which specific comic, but
I got it. And it don't stop.
And it don't stop. Okay.
Yep. That's the art. Well, I don't know the specific panel because I haven't read And It Don't Stop yet, but that is the same art style.
Got it. Should I leave it to you to do shenanigans, or do you want me to say?
Oh, go for it.
Okay. He's got a different Pester Chum style than John. I think it's just a different version as well. We've got the Pester Chums downloaded in ours, and I was like, wait, we can do different versions on this. Like, there's a cardboard version, there's the 3D version that Dave has going on in there, and I was messing around with that and going, ooh, hee hee hee, and stuff. Anyways, Dave's version has 3D symbols. He has different moods, including mystified, amazed, insolent, bemused, cranky, which I think had a ... face or something, and smooth, which has sunglasses, and of course Dave was using. Otherwise, he has a red folder on his desktop called Dope Rhymes, period. So dope. And I was like, there's shenanigans, I'm sure, going on in there. An internet browser called Hephaestus, on fire appropriately. A folder called Ill Beats, an app called Complete Bullshit that looked like it was exasperated with itself, and a specific colored wheel, which has almost but not quite all of the Homestuck colors. It is missing a color. It is 10 out of 11 of the specific colors. I'm saying, well, the reason why is in my notes and not to be specified to you.
Okay. It's a spoiler.
Yes.
I'll leave it alone.
Yep. Great. Your version.
Hephaestus. Mostly what I have is talking about that. The god of making stuff. He was lame and had a limp. He may have had club feet. He's also known as Vulcan. Okay, so he was a fire god. One of his possible origin story elements was he may have been cast out of Olympus by his mother Hera and raised by Thetis, a sea nymph. This is important because there's a lot of conflict. He built a golden throne for Hera. She sat in it and got stuck because he was pissed at her. He left her there. He just left.
Okay.
And the only reason she got out of that chair was he agreed to marry Hephaestus to Aphrodite, which did not go well. Hephaestus made a lot of the tools of the immortals, including the Aegis, which we've talked about before, the shield with the Medusa head on it. He also created Pandora and her container, which we know as Pandora's box, but it wasn't. It was a kind of vase called a pithos. He also made golden automatons for Olympus as handmaids. I had never run into that before. I was like, really? But apparently the servants of Olympus were golden robot chicks. Right? In the Gigantomachia, he fought Mimas, who was born of the blood of the castrated Uranus. Uranus is the personification of the sky, heavens, and space-time. So Mimas was kind of like the revenge. The revenge against that death. I I don't have any. I'm not sure what this particular desktop model is based on. Like, I kind of want it to be some sort of Apple stuff, but I don't think it is
Yeah, it looks vaguely Mac.
ish,
Yeah.
but not. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, I didn't look at it.
Okay,
Just went, all right.
that's it. That's what I got for that.
Okay, the next figure is 2225.
Same.
Okay. Uh, I'll start mine because probably you have a long one.
Nope.
No. Okay, then you start.
I just was like, there's a bunch of snacks. Cool Ranch Doritos, Pizza Cravers with Ranch, Pringles Original, and Spicy Sweet Chili Doritos. I was like, yep, my mouth filled with spit. I remember all of those flavors from the 90s.
Okay.
The blog they mentioned is Sweet Bros Hella blog, and there's Sweet Bro stuff later. Their blog entries show a few from 2008 and then January to March of 2009. So Sweet Bro is not that long. And I went, and here we stop. Because that's my last page.
Okay, then I'll say on my thing.
Okay.
Blogspot, where Dave's blogs, parentheses, or multiple, are being hosted, has a
Subdomain.
subdomain on Blogger. You can still type it in and be like blogspot.com and end up on Blogger, which is still available for use nowadays, and I occasionally use it and such. I was looking at the sidebar because it has, hey, who does this person follow on there? And I was like, that looks a lot like a Tumblr thing. Like, there's the different themes and stuff, and ye old days of Tumblr used to have that as a common sidebar for you, like, hey, here's who I'm following, you can look and stuff. And I was like, did he steal Tumblr things to put onto here? And I was like, no, because like Tumblr is founded in 2007, and I was like, oh, neat. But it probably was just early stages and not yet full blown Tumblr and stuff. So I was like, all right, cool name. And there's a link on there for Game Bro, and I clicked on it, and it just led to the Game Bro cover, and I was like, all right, sure, there we go. And since we're not going on to Sweet Bro Hella Jack, that's where we end.
I think we should do that next time.
Okay.
Because it deserves its own container.
Oh, God.
So that people can like set aside and like, well, I'm not going to listen to this. I have no desire to go into Sweet Bro. We understand. I feel you're like, perhaps Tumblr. He copied it from Tumblr. I'm like, oh man, no, I'm old. I was on Blogspot when it first came out. I had to transfer over to Blogger.
Oh, okay.
When that happened too. So like I've been blogging since maybe 97. I don't know.
You were there in the
90s.
ancient days.
I was there. I was there in the ancient days. I was there on the rec alts, the news groups and stuff. So it just is. It's funny to me. I'm like, in the days of yore, perhaps he stole these details from Tumblr.
No, Tumblr stole it from them. Got it.
Yeah. It was weird. Social media used to be distributed. Like the only way that you could find somebody else was through those side links. Like if you were blog A, you put all your friends in the sidebar. And then there were like other things that you signed up for that were like blog roles where like you would click on this thing and it would pop you through a bunch of strangers who did the same type of blogging with the same subject. So there was like, I know you this way, and then I know you this way. And that's kind of how the social media worked. You didn't have a feed. And then people set up a feed, but it was a manual thing that you were just like, please show me all my blog updates. And that was fun. And I think that's where stuff like Tumblr came from, is that feeling of reading the RSS feed. You just go to your RSS feed reader and be like, yes, I have this many updates from my friends and a bunch of stuff that I'm interested in. And there was no advertising because you didn't subscribe to advertising. You only signed up for the blog. Yeah. It was a naive time full of petty arguments that somehow were less serious than the bullshit that goes down now. Yeah.
They're just leaving it that for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to note for just general Homestuck or otherwise?
What was it? Yeah, I feel like we kind of have the template for how the overall structure is going to go. I don't know how it was. I can surmise how it's going to come out, but that's mostly based on stuff that we've talked about, where you've let drop inadvertent spoilers. And
sorry,
I'll leave that alone. But I think we are looking at a story where throwing all the references, shake, 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 and then kind of like we use sort of the T.S. Eliot structure, where you're like, here's why this culture is doomed. Mm-hmm. Here's how people's relationships are kind of going with or without that culture. Like, this is how people get stuck together. Mm-hmm. We're going to find some insight on how to clear out all of the things that we feel trapped by. Here's an example of somebody who didn't do that, and he's spinning around in that goddamn whirlpool. And then we're going to go to the desert, and there will be like rain or change. The wasteland starts with April is the cruelest month because the rain distracts from change. Like, it's rainy and it's nuts and it's pouring, and like really it's just the winter trying to hold off spring a little bit longer and accidentally causing more spring, but by trying to make it cold and wet and miserable at the beginning of April. Mm-hmm. And then things get better, and then they get worse, and they get better, and they get worse. And so there's this moment, I want to say towards the beginning of our section we covered today. I forgot to talk about it because I didn't write it down. Where it's raining outside, and Rose is like, it's pouring rain and meteors are falling. It's almost like the rain is there to try and snuff out the meteors. Boy, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't want to change, and I'm fighting it. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay, that makes it's very funny then. Now the whole April 13. I guess it really does just lead back to the poem now, because I'm like, that makes a lot more sense now.
I would not put past. He was like, random date 4/13. Shit, April is the cruelest month. I had to read this stupid thing for some reason. Mm-hmm. Shunk, it's going in.
And here we are.
Yeah, because the Wasteland is one of those, you don't have to read it in high school mostly, but you get it in college English classes all the time because it's short, but it's also one of those throw all the culture in templates. And boy, English people, we fucking love those stories. Throw it all in there, yes. And you're like, we can't commit to having a room full of students read Dante's Inferno. We just can't. It's like, can we commit to reading Homestuck in this college level class that takes 4 months? No.
God, no.
We cannot. Let's pick something short. The Wastelands it is. Rock on. Anyway.
They probably didn't. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'll ever write anything like this. I don't think my brain... I love this kind of story, but I don't think my brain works like this. Mm-hmm. I think I will end up writing the secretly in hell trope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been... Sorry, that was how we got onto the whole Odyssey and let's combine all things together. Because we were talking about things like the secretly in hell trope, and someone I was watching on YouTube, Mandalore Gaming, being like, secretly this was pathological again! Pathologic being a different video game, and I was like, well, I have my own version of that, secretly Bioshock, and you're talking further steps down from there, and you're like, hey, why do we go on to these specific tropes and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, and I was like, you need to be writing a dystopia.
Dystopia with a sense of discovery or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. We're going to take a tour of this dystopia.
Yippee!
Yeah, that's not really the Odyssey. That's more like Dante's Inferno, though. Like, hey, So all these people are in freaking hell.
You know what I should read? I don't want to read Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you should, but you don't want to read it because it's a bunch of references that you're not going to get in a language that it wasn't originally written in.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to ask you questions and be annoying about it.
Okay, that dude is modeled after a real life bishop.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, we're not sure that Dante was gay, but he definitely spilled some tea.
I've heard lots of people be like, "This is Dante's like fan fiction of him being with this guy." I'm like, "Yeah, let's go to hell. We're in hell together."
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, as you do. But also, wow, this is a weird fan fiction. Got it. And I guess it's potentially useful for me.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Good to know. I say, shaking my head. um, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Nah.
No. Well then, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Next time.
Bye.